This is your syllabus chat. In this video, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about the course policies and how you'll be evaluated, what the expectations are, all of those syllabus things. I like to tell my students that a syllabus is like a lease. You really need to know what's in it because it is the contract that we share that outlines our mutual responsibilities and rights. So you'll access the syllabus by going to Content, and here, Social Change. Now, as a reminder, you can always email me with any questions. I also have office hours, Tuesdays 2:30 at the Larimore campus, and Wednesdays 10 a.m. at the Westminster campus. I'm also available by phone or Skype. Now, you've seen the course description because that's what you set up, but here's how I like to describe the course. Women's social action spans issues that affect women around the world, and students will gain an appreciation of the importance of difference among women as well as their shared struggles. The course develops students' ability to critically analyze society and culture and to design their own programs for social change. By the end of the course, students will be able to answer the following questions. What is activism? What types of activism are effective? What are the practical challenges and rewards of organizing for social change? How do activists build alliances or coalitions among diverse groups of women? How do activist policies differ from How do activist politics differ from mainstream politics? You'll notice a lot of differences. How do oppressive states, institutions, and cultural norms limit social change? And what are the reliable indicators or measurements of women's well-being? As I've mentioned already, we won't be using the Sean Megan Byrne Women Across Cultures textbook anymore. We'll be using instead a digital subscription to Ms. in the Classroom. Ms. in the Classroom is a wonderful resource because it actually, in addition to being, to its history as the magazine for women's liberation, is now reviewed by many prominent professors in the field, and a lot of the contributors are also professors in the field. So it has that kind of neat dual purpose. And there's some, and then there's some more additional instructions and ways to get support if you need it. So students will establish their participation in an online course by completing one of the activities before the drop for non-attendance deadline. So that means that by Friday, October 21st, if you have not completed one of the academic components of this class, you will be automatically dropped. Now, I will point out that your discussion posts are due Wednesday. So you don't want to lose the points. You want to submit by Wednesday, but you definitely don't want to be dropped from the class. So you want to make sure that you have at least done something by Friday, even if you do get the late points. Now, I'm not going to go over in extensive depth what appropriate behavior is in online classes because I think that it's so similar to the way that you would behave appropriately in any other professional context. Certainly, we'll be practicing ways to be more personable online and ways to be both professional and build strong relationships, right? Because that's very important. But if you feel the need, if you haven't taken an online class before, especially, go ahead and review these the basic rules of netiquette. It goes over all those things like we should not be typing in all caps because all caps is yelling. Things which I think many of us sort of now getting into, this probably into the second decade of online life can appreciate. So here's where I want to focus most of my attention is on the grading components. The components are discussions, the YouTube video, the essay, and the final project. As you can see, discussions are the biggest portion. 40% of your grade is discussions. And that's because it really takes the place of both homework and class participation. So everything that you would normally do on a weekly basis for a traditional class is encompassed in the discussions. So each week there will be 3 discussion fora organized around subtopics. And for each forum, students must start a new discussion thread and respond to some other students. New threads are 2 to 3 paragraphs of substantial engagement with the subtopic, and they draw either on the lecture or on the readings, depending on the topic. I do expect that across all 3 of the discussion posts that you make, that you demonstrate to me that you know the week's material. Response and so a really good paragraph is substantial engagement with the subtopic, and it also poses a question or suggestion issue for group discussion. One of the things that I really value is how we take on, I would say, like a cooperative style leadership, where we as students, as teachers, all of us, as participants in the conversation, are actively facilitating each other's participation, also asking questions to other people. That's one of those aspects of teamwork that I think is invaluable. And then responses are meaningful conversations with peers of at least one paragraph, in which you either agree, disagree, or suggest new information on a topic. This is definitely a space where we should be able to intellectually disagree with each other, right? It's not inherently disrespectful to disagree. We can disagree in ways that are respectful, that are mutually beneficial, and this is how we learn. I think too often in our culture, and particularly in this current election cycle, we get this feeling like because we disagree, we shouldn't talk to each other at all, or we should keep our mouths shut. And I think that that's fundamentally wrong and really impoverishing. We should discuss our points of disagreement. That's how we get to a better society. So, in summary, 3 new threads are due by Wednesday at 8, and 5 responses, 1 or 2 per forum, are due Friday at 8 p.m. Okay, and this is the breakdown. It'll be 20 points per week. So 5 points for each initial thread and 1 point per response. The YouTube video is a really fun assignment, and it really helps. It really helps us also act as a community, because each student will contribute a YouTube video that raises awareness on a particular topic related to the weekly material. There's a sign-up sheet and guidelines that are already circulating, and your videos will be graded out of 100 points. But keep in mind, this is a weighted grading system, so actually this is the smallest component. I'm really excited because it's a really fun way to engage in social justice, and I think something that that you might want to take with you outside of the class. At the same time, I do shy away from making it a major component, because I know that with these fun, creative activities, they're also often unfamiliar, and that's also why I have the forum set up for technical help. There really is a lot of assistance out there. It's easier than you think. If I can do it, you can do it. Now the midterm essay, coming up right November 11th, I told you week 3, we already have midterms. It's a 7.5 week class. It goes fast. The midterm essay is 20% of your grade, like most midterms would be. And the essay asks you to analyze and synthesize the materials from Unit 1. So the first 3 weeks. You will write an essay that describes your own version of utopian society. I'm going to grade out of 100 points, but again, those 100 points are different from the 100 points of the YouTube video. They're weighted 20%, okay? As always, academic citations are required, and I will distribute the some guidelines for academic citations, in addition to referring you to the wonderful resources that FRCC has to offer in advance. And supporting evidence should once again be drawn from the course readings and lecture. So I don't expect you to do outside research. If you want to do outside research, that's fine, but you don't get credit for it in the same way that you do for using the course material. You get credit for demonstrating your understanding of the course material. So that's what I really want to see you reference. The final project, experimenting with activism, is larger. It asks you to work as a group to design, conduct, and evaluate a public action that raises awareness about an important social issue relevant to women's studies. Now, there is a there's an extensive assignment, and also the first couple of steps of that are up now. Your project will be graded out of 100 points, and that will be the individual component. Of your individual component is a 5 to 6 page paper that will be graded out of 100 points. There are two other components. One is your participation throughout the semester. That's 25 points, and the other is the group grade. Okay, so there is some grade associated with the resulting action that your group produces, but the vast majority of it is your participation, your paper on the group action. And I've really worked to redesign the course this semester to guide you through the process more carefully and offer you more support. So the first thing you're going to do is a self-assessment on how you work in teams. And it's something that is tied to a college-wide initiative to try to incorporate aspects of professionalism in all of our courses. It's also something that that I think is really important if you want to do any kind of community work, to be able to work well in teams, and something that I often see is so hard for students that I know outside of the academy. We don't do a very good job in colleges or in high schools of asking people to do group projects, but in community work, in the nonprofit field, in any kind of business, you are asked to work in teams. So I really want you to develop your own skills and think about how you operate in a team and how you can do better. I'm going to skip through academic integrity, because I will talk a little bit about how to do citations honestly. I do hope that everybody knows that they shouldn't be copying things from the internet for either their discussion posts or their formal papers. But I think it is pretty hard to do that based on how I've written them. Okay, we already went over the drop for non-attendance. If you have any sort of disability or illness that requires accommodation, please get me your note. If there's anything that goes on with you that you need a little bit of extra time, stay in constant communication with me. I don't think that it's fair for people to be penalized for serious illness, but at the same time, if I don't know what's going on with you, I do have to maintain the same expectations for everybody. I recommend that you print out the course outline, really just these last 2 pages, because this is the weekly schedule of our readings and our lectures, and it just helps keep you on task. And it gives you a nice overview of the whole thing. So you'll see we're starting with introduction, then gender division of labor, international political economy, challenging institutions. The midterm essay is due the 11th. Excuse me, it also includes week 4. I believe before I said week 3, but it includes up to week 4. And then you'll just see sort of a general schedule for the rest of it. So please do print out those last 2 pages, keep them in front of you. If you have any questions at all about how you're being evaluated, how to do any of these components, first read the guidelines, read the assignments, read the rubrics that I've posted, and then if you still have questions, please do bring them to me. I do like to have specific questions that I can help address. It's very difficult for me to address I don't understand generally. So please help me out. Tell me what part you don't understand. Help me figure out where I can clarify. And do your part. One of the things that can be more difficult about an online class is that you really do have to work on reading assignments independently. So focus on that. Focus on reading the syllabus independently. And let me know if you have questions.